One of the problem-solving strategies we teach our chemistry students is to use dimensional analysis. So you can always get the answer right just by relying on making sure units cancel. A+ College Ready has an activity that will introduce the kids to dimensional analysis and let them play with it, and then you can move on from there to a little bit harder level of dimensional analysis. So what does it come with? It comes with cards, and those cards have a multitude of rabbits and ducks and chickens and bacon and everything else. Along with it comes this sheet, which is the directions and what problems to solve. So you would distribute these cards to your kids. You would have them work through each one. You could have the kids either call you over and show it to you, or you could have the kids take a picture and upload it to, say, Google Classroom or something like that. All of those are ways that they could show that they've mastered this skill. So let's look at problem number 1. What I've laid out is, this is 6 chickens. This is chickens and rabbits, chickens and ducks, chickens and ducks. Notice, some of them have chickens on the top, some of them have chickens on the bottom, and there are a few others that also have chickens on them. So the kids really have to think about, how can I set up the problem so that I find the thing I'm looking for and I cancel out the one I don't want. This also gives you a good chance in the kids' mistakes to find the misconceptions that they're thinking about, and then you can help them through those misconceptions. Again, it's activity first. We really want the kids to get involved and active, and then a teacher is more like a coach, looking around to see what's going on, who needs help, who needs praise, those kinds of things. The first problem says, the king wants to provide the party guests with sandwiches. If the king trades 6 chickens, how many loaves of bread can he obtain? 6 chickens. Okay, so I need something to do with loaves of bread and chicken. Here's a chicken and a loaf of bread. So here's one possible answer that the kids can give. It's got loaves of bread, but on the bottom, it's got chickens on the top. So this would not work. The chickens do not cancel. You could tell the kid, try again. Here's a card with loaves of bread on top and chickens on the bottom. This would allow me to cancel out the chickens and find loaves of bread. This is where the math would go. 6 times 4 is 24 divided by 1. So given 6 chickens, he can get 24 loaves of bread. It gets a little bit harder from there. So the kids are going to have to use multiple cards to get through the problems. The next problem says, King Danny loves bacon. Danny wants the sandwiches for the party to be bacon sandwiches. If he trades 12 rabbits, how many pigs will he acquire? So the students would have to go through and find the card that says 12 rabbits. So here's my card that's 12 rabbits. They then have to make out a connection because this is going to take 2 more cards. So I found this one with 3 rabbits. I can get 2 chickens. Notice that nothing cancels, so that one really doesn't help us. Here's one with rabbits on the bottoms and chickens on the top. So that would be a good step. My next step would be to go from chickens to something else that would help me find the answer. Here's one with ducks and chickens. Chickens on top, chickens on the bottom. They would cancel out, leaving me ducks. And then finally, ducks on the top, ducks on the bottom, leaving me with pigs on top. And that's what I'm looking for, how many pigs. This is a great starting step for dimensional analysis. The kids can see simple units right in front of them. It's kind of fun to play with. And they can set up and you can view when everybody is ready to go on and try dimensional analysis. Instead of just throwing numbers at them, you can do this activity, see where the problems are, and then help those kids. And then when you start real dimensional analysis with the Jones-Weebly exercise, they've got a little bit better idea of what you're doing. After you've used the cards to introduce the concept of dimensional analysis, then you can use this computer tutorial to let the kids work on discovering how dimensional analysis works without need of you lecturing or showing them on the board. Instead, they work on it at their own pace at their computer. This computer program will work on any device. The students start by clicking on Learn. The Learn will walk them through the method of displaying things on the computer so that units cancel. So they read the thing up above, they click on Next Step. They show starting out with the number and unit that they're given. They show the units canceling when you insert the numbers. And then they show them the math of multiplying across the top and dividing by the bottom. There's a one-step practice with lots of them. There's a multi-step practice. And there's, in the course materials, there's a sheet that goes along with it where the students write out their work in some of the steps or just record their answer in some of the steps. So let's just do one of the one-step practices. How many grams are in 16,822 milligrams? We start by dragging it here. We then have to figure out what unit we're given, milligrams, what unit we're trying to cancel out, grams. So I have to look up here and find the unit that allows things to cancel and yet find the unit I'm looking for. There's milligrams. And then they have to pick the same color, the one that goes along with it. And then it says unit correct. And then it asks the student to enter the answer and allows them to check their answer. Now we'll look at a multi-step practice problem. It starts out easy and they get harder as they go. So notice there's only 3 units to pick from there. If I go down to the very last problem, there's many more choices, but they always start by dragging the number they're given, then finding the unit that they want to cancel and finding the unit they're looking for. How can we get from milligrams to ounces? And as always, they check their answer. Then they can go on further once they've mastered it. They do liters per hour, where they drag liters and they drag hours. If you attempt to drag something in a place that doesn't belong, notice it says unit incorrect. So the students really do have to get the right answer to go on. We change liters to milliliters, and then we change hours to minutes. The units are correct. Liters cancels, milliliters stays, hours cancel. You end up with milliliters per minute. Here's the worksheet that you can use with your kids to help them move along. Notice that it has them start with that Learn button. For the first couple, they have to show their work and their answer. For the rest of them, assuming they can get there, you're only worried about their calculated answer. Then they have one more chance to do it. This becomes more like a POGIL, where you have to be able to show your work to your instructor before moving on. You may decide to use this, or you may decide to take it out. I like to check in with my students and make sure that they've been successful in part 1, look over their shoulder and make sure they're still doing it on the computer. By the time they finish all the multi-step and double unit and cubed and squared versions, they really have mastered the idea of how to do dimensional analysis. There's no more arguments with the students, and they've done most of the work themselves. You can spend your time helping students who need your help, and the rest of the students have gained confidence that they can do this all on their own.